Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. We'd like to see the blessings of Radha Mother, Radha Shamsana, Krishna Balaram, Bhagavad, Gita, Prabhupada. So we are on chapter 9, I believe, and let's go through the names of the previous 8 chapters. We'll go through the English and also the Sanskrit names. So the first chapter is observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Vishad Yoga. Second chapter is contents of the Gita summarized. Sankhya Yoga is the Sanskrit name. Third chapter is Karma Yoga. That's also the Sanskrit name. Fourth chapter is Transcendental Yoga, Transcendental Meditation. And that's Gyan Yoga. Gyan actually means knowledge. Fifth chapter, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. Karma Vairagya Yoga. Chapter 6, Dhyan Yoga. In Sanskrit, it's Abhyas Yoga. Abhyas means practice. Chapter 7, knowledge of the Absolute. Paramahamsa Vijnana Yoga. And chapter 8, which we did last week, attaining the Supreme, it's Akshara Parabrahma Yoga. So this chapter is called the most confidential knowledge. Most confidential. And the Sanskrit name, I think it's Raj Vidya Yoga, something like that. Okay, so summary of chapter 9. Just as a pearl is hidden within a shell, or a king travels surrounded by his entourage, so the essence of the Gita is also hidden in the middle of the conversation. So this is, Gita is 18 chapters. This is the 9th chapter. And as we know from the 7th chapter, it's all about Bhakti Yoga. And here, right in the middle of the Gita, Krishna gives the most confidential knowledge. And this is what the chapter is also entitled. In the 9th chapter, Krishna outlines the king of all knowledge and the most secret of all secrets. He explains the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, the perfection of spiritual practice, and the ultimate goal of life. So there are 4 themes in this chapter. Krishna will reveal the most confidential information about himself to Arjuna, who is his faithful devotee. He doesn't reveal himself to everyone. The inconceivable nature of the Lord is another theme. We will never actually be able to understand it, and we'll see why when he talks about himself. There are many misconceptions about the Lord, and Krishna explains this and establishes the status of worshipping him exclusively. And Krishna describes what happens to one who commits sins but repents and engages in bhakti. So, with those 4 themes in mind, let's start. Who would like to read? Any volunteers? Yeah, Ishwari or Kishwari.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Text 1. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence." Text 2. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. Text 3. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this material world.
Thank you. So, 3 verses. First theme, Krishna explains that the knowledge he is about to impart is the most confidential, as it illuminates the true position and nature of the soul in relation to God. So, what is that relationship? There is a notion that belief in God is intellectually immature or naive in this day and age. And the reason being, you're considered old-fashioned if you worship God because science has taken the place of God. That's what some people claim. Science has an explanation for everything. Well, they may have some explanations, but it doesn't still give us what the underlying cause of nature is, for example. However, logical and rational analysis of the complexity, design, and intricate engineering of this creation makes it plain that there must be some conscious intelligence behind it. If you see the universe, how it operates, even if you just look at our own body, which is the closest thing to us, it operates in such an amazing way. We shave every morning, well, not every morning, every few days, and then somehow the hairs grow back again. It's such an amazing machine. And a lot of things are just unexplainable. For example, the constitution of the eye. It's such a very, very complex object. So many different elements to an eye. And what the scientists will have us believe is it just happened by chance. There was a big bang. And through evolution, everything happened by chance. Anyway, to categorically deny this suggests a stubborn, irrational, and illogical predisposition towards atheism. So some people don't want to believe in God or a higher authority. They want to be just free to do what they want to do, which is fine if that's how they want to live their life. Nobody is going to force God down somebody else's throat. But it just doesn't seem very logical proposition. Thus, Krishna explains that the knowledge he is about to impart is state-specific, i.e., one must be non-envious and faithful to understand it. If we really want to understand the essence of the Gita, these 2 things are needed. Shouldn't envy God, shouldn't envy anybody, and need to be faithful, have some open mind, have an open mind. Faith is not opposed to knowledge, but is actually a prerequisite for receiving it. This open mind that I will try to understand what is being explained by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, that is a prerequisite. So, lesson 36, establish deep faith within our hearts that Krishna is a supreme and our protector and guide and beloved. And faith is defined in a scripture called Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's another name for faith in Sanskrit is Shraddha. Shraddha is confident, firm faith that by rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. Such faith is favorable to the discharge of devotional service. Faith we have to have, even in this world, we have to have the faith that one day, in the morning, at night we go to sleep and we have the faith that we're going to wake up next morning. We have the faith that we wake up in the morning and be able to cross the road without getting run over, right? We have this faith that is inherent in us. So that faith also we can use that same faith, which is based on material action. We can dovetail it into faith in the spiritual context. So at the moment, our faith is in the material context. we're hungry, we eat something and it'll satisfy our stomach. Yeah? So that is, there's faith that food will give us nourishment, it will give us energy, it will give us strength. So in the same way, we can have the faith that the Supreme Lord is our protector, is our guide, is our beloved. Very important to have this faith. Very important. All right. So this fellow is Frederick Hoyle. Now, he's a scientist. He's the one who coined the term Big Bang theory. When he first heard about this Big Bang theory, he was a scientist, but he heard this theory. And he just has a joke. He coined the term Big Bang theory, really mocking the scientific world, although he was a scientist himself. Later, he changed his tune because he is a scientist after all. But if you see some of his writings, it's quite clear, his thoughts. We must now admit to ourselves that the probability of life arising by chance, by evolution, is the same probability of throwing dice, so throwing 6 in dice, 5 million consecutive times. So he's quite clear. Life didn't come by chance. Life didn't come from matter. And then there's another quote, which is the one I really like. Let's be scientifically honest with ourselves. The probability of having life arise to greater and greater complexity and organization by chance is the same probability of having a tornado tear through a junkyard and form out the other end a Boeing 747. I love this one. A tornado goes through a junkyard, and after that, a wonderful 747 Boeing aeroplane is ready for us. Probability of that are 0. So that's what he's saying. The chance is that this universe came through a big bang just by chance is practically 0. Very interesting. Okay, who else would like to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm sorry I'm late.
Yes, Monica.
Buddy, sorry, it's me.
Oh, right.
I've joined from my mom's phone.
Ah, I didn't recognize. Okay, good. So you can take over. Anything you'd like to share?
No, I'm good.
So you can take over from here. Thank you. Very good.
That's perfect. Thank you. If you don't mind, could you just present the PowerPoint?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Go for it.
I'm gonna quickly rename myself.
Should I start?
Yes, please.
Text 4. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I'm not in them. Text 5. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. Text 6. Understand that understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. Text 7. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. Text 8. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end.
Cool.
Text 9. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as the neutral. Text 10. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings, Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again.
Thank you. Over to you, Pari.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry, first of all, I'm sorry for being late, everyone. I'm actually not at home, as you can tell. I'm actually in the temple room. But you know, what other better way to deliver rather than in the home of the Lord, right? So chapter 9 today, the most confidential knowledge. So summary of what has been read from 4 to 10. Krishna actually begins to impart knowledge, you know, from his sort of relationships with the universe and then with all other living entities as well. And it mentions inconceivable relationships. Inconceivable because we can't actually understand the full meaning. Any relationship you have, you know, of course, you know the meaning of it, but with Krishna, relationships are so special that you can't actually put it into words. So while this knowledge gives us an indication of, you know, the character and grace, the greatness and the capacity of the Lord, it also exposes our inability to comprehend such matters through mundane logic and reason. This means that, you know, what this is essentially trying to say is that the human mind is way too limited. It's way too limited to understand the Lord, you know, past all the greatness and the capacity he has. Of course, we know he's very great, but we fail to understand that sometimes what Krishna doesn't have to have a reason behind it. He just does it. You know, either he does it to make his devotees happy. Well, technically that is the main reason, to be honest. He does it to make his devotees happy, but you know, he does it to re-establish dharma. So we can't fully understand that if we stay in this bubble of mundane logic. So an idea is conceived within the mind. A child is conceived within the womb. In other words, a concept is contained within something. However, since the qualities and characteristics of the Lord are unlimited, they can't be contained within any boundaries. And so, you know, God's activities and relationships are deemed inconceivable. You know, like an idea, it's like in the box of our mind. A child is within the boundaries of a womb. Similarly, the knowledge of the Lord or the Lord himself, we can't contain him into any boundary. He practically just will not fit. It's impossible because there's so much to know about Krishna and we only know a fraction. Even me, like I'm sure Prabhuji as well, you know, we learn not something new about Krishna every single day. We go over his pastimes and we notice little details but that we didn't notice before. There's just so much to learn about him. So we can learn that the Lord and his potencies are inconceivable. Potency is like his inner power or his Shakti. It's inconceivable. It can't be grasped. It can't be put in one place. It can't be gathered together. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a confidential avatar of the Lord, so he's a confidential incarnation, he established the principle of achintya bhed abhed tattva. And that means inconceivable oneness and difference at the same time. So what that means is the Lord is indifferent to us, but he's also very different at the same time. So we can't get a hold of him. But similarly, if we put ourselves into bhakti, we are able to at least understand some part of him. In text 4, he states that all beings are in me, but I am not in them. In text 5, although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. And this is inconceivable to understand. You know, clearly, if you're everywhere, you know, you should be in us. But that's what it is. The Lord is the only person that can have sort of contradicting qualities. No one else has that. You know, either you're too nice or you're too mean. But the Lord at the same time is very extremely nice to his devotees, but can get angry on those who hurt his devotees. So that's the inconceivable and very ununderstandable nature of the Lord.
Would like to read. Yeah, Ishwari or Kishori?
Thank you, Broguji. Text 11. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. Text 12. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Text 13. O son of Pratap, those who are not deluded, the great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Text 14. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Text 15. Others who engage in sacrifice by cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. Text 16. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. Text 17. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier and the syllable I am also the Rug, the Sama, and the Yajurveda.
Rigveda, Samaved, and Yajur, yes.
Text 18. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. Text 19. O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality, and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Text 20. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. Thank you.
Oh, there's more.
Text 21. When they have thus enjoyed vastly heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Text 22. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. Text 23. Those who are devotees of other gods, and who worship them with faith, actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. Text 24. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Text 25. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live with me.
Last bit.
Text 26. If one offers me with love and a devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Text 27. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. Text 28. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. Text 29. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him.
Wonderful. Wow.
Thank you.
Over to you, Pari.
Thank you, Shori and Kishori. That was really nicely read. So from the summary of verses 11 to 29. So even after Krishna explains, the opulences and the qualities of his personal form, there are so many people that still misunderstand him. And Krishna comes in the human-like form. Now, human-like is in quotations because Krishna is not and will never be, never was a human. Okay, so whenever people say, Krishna came and he was just a human with like supernatural powers, that is not true. Measuring the Lord to another human being is just not what happens. Whatever he can do, we cannot do. So some deem him an ordinary human, which is not the case. Others believe a personal form of God to be an elementary and infantile concept. Others believe that God manifests in innumerable forms, represented by the various demigods, each of who are worthy of worship. Others cannot perceive of anything beyond the universe and therefore consider the cosmos to be the supreme object of worship. While some claim that all paths lead to the same destination, Krishna highlights that he awards different results to a person's worship based on their motivation and understanding. And then he, however, establishes the worship of his personal form as the highest. So, all of these where we consider him to be human-like or elementary or innumerable forms who are all worthy of worship as the demigods, or that he's just the cosmos. All of these are, yes, I guess in a way they do resemble Krishna, but these are not what Krishna are. Krishna is not an ordinary human. He's not just a concept. He's not a demigod. He's not the cosmos. Krishna is so much more than that. And in fact, he's one who's made all of these things. Krishna is above all of these things because he's the creator of all of these things. So when we consider the Lord to be, any of these things mentioned, these bullet points, we actually demean him. We take away his qualities when we mention him as a human, or we mention him as just cosmos or just a light. That's not who Krishna is. Krishna comes in his personal form, and that is his eternal form. And that's the one we should worship. Although he looks like a human, it does not actually, he doesn't even look like a human. Have you ever seen a human with a color of a dark rain cloud? No. So even in that sense, Krishna, yes, I guess his formation represents a human, but Krishna is nothing close to a human. We can worship the personal form of Krishna exclusively without a second, and according to our capacity, one can see him face to face and have a personal loving relationship with him. So the personal form is the highest of Krishna, and that's because that's how he stays in his eternal abode. That's how he is in Gokul Vrindavan with all the gopis. He's in his two-handed form with his legs crossed. And that is the form we should worship exclusively without a second, and according to our capacity. So as much as we can, we need to focus on that form of Krishna. And one can see him face to face and have a loving relationship with him. So in this way, he himself mentions that his best form of worship is his personal form. It's the highest form to worship. Anything to add, Broguji?
No, thank you. But well, yeah, very good. Um, according to his capacity, according to our capacity, he's very simple to please. Just offer him with love and devotion. That's the most important ingredient. Leaf, flower, fruit, water. This is the most amazing thing about the Lord. Some amazing verses in this part, especially this one. Those who worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my personal form, as you said, to them I carry what they lack, I preserve them. There's no loss. Oh, and then he also talks about worshipping the demigods, you go to the place of the demigods. There's some amazing verses in this part of the chapter. And thank you for that. So, this is the last bit now. Would anybody like to read who hasn't read?
Shall I read?
Yes, please. Thank you, brother.
Text 30. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. Text 31. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Text 32. O son of Prata, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, and Shudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. Text 33. How much more this is so of the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary, miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Text 34. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, becoming my devotee, offering obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. End of chapter 9.
Thank you. And this is Rajvidya Guya Yoga. Rajvidya is king of all knowledge, and Guya is a secret. Over to you, Pari, last bit.
Thank you for reading. It was really clearly read. So the summary of verses 30 to 34. Now, it's really important to translate these verses because like Prabhuji just mentioned, it's the king of all knowledge, the most confidential knowledge. So Krishna mentions that a devotee, even if committing a sin or a horrible act, they are considered to be saintly and their sins can be quickly rectified because they are working for Krishna. Now we know, of course, Krishna is so merciful, right? He requests Arjuna to boldly declare that his devotees are never vanquished. By thinking of Krishna, offering him obeisances and becoming absorbed in him, one, regardless of his position, will go back to Godhead. So, of course, whatever sin you commit, you can rectify it through pure devotional service. This does not mean, however, that you keep on sinning and then, take shelter of the holy name. That's not what it is, because then you're doing it knowingly. But if you do commit a horrible act and, of course, you do prayashchit for it and you actually repent for it, then it can be quickly rectified. So lesson 39, forgive and be forgiven. Everyone makes mistakes in life, right? And if Krishna can be merciful, then him being our master and him being our Lord, we should also try to follow. Of course, we're just a drop of water and he is the absolute ocean of everything. So even if we have that little quality of forgiveness, everyone makes mistakes in life, right? And that can be over and over again. I know I still do a couple of things that I make mistakes and I do over and over again. But because of past conditioning, because of our past life, we are bound to make mistakes. But Krishna is very forgiving and very understanding. Similarly, if you know someone, right? If you know someone that can, that does commit mistakes and it does hurt you, regardless of, who they are, what they may have done, we should try to find it in our heart and forgive them, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to forgive. But we are, as a devotee, we must be merciful. So Vishwant Chakravarti Thakur, who is a Maharaj in the disciplic succession, he describes 5 types of people. The 5th class is the one who only sees bad in everyone. Like there could be thousands of people and you would only see the bad qualities in them. It could be, in your friends, you could see your bad qualities, in your relatives. That person who is in the 5th class just sees bad in everyone. 4th class is one who sees both bad and good, but focuses on the bad. So you can see that, okay, this person has a good side, they have a bad side, but then you're just focusing on their bad side. You're thinking, oh, because they've done this, it eradicates everything good that they've done. 3rd class is the one who sees both bad and good in equal measure. So you see bad and good, but you see them as equal. You see them in a measure where, okay, that's it. It's just a person. They're not good, neither bad, they're equal. 2nd class is the one who sees both bad and good, but focuses on the good. And then the 1st class is the one who only sees good. Now, this is something, the 1st class of people is, they're very hard to attain. And only Krishna and the Guru can do this. When we talked about in chapter 2, when we approach a bona fide Guru, a Shiksha and a Diksha Guru, or your spiritual master, can do this. Because the 1st class is extremely hard to do. As humans, and in this material world, it's very hard for us to do. We tend to see a lot of bad qualities in people and reject the good. That's why we should, at least try to be in the 3rd or 2nd stage, because the 1st one, it's just not possible unless you become a very, very pure devotee. But yes, of course, always aim for the 1st class.
Right, well done. It doesn't give us a license to just do any rubbish that we want. As I said, it's very forgiving. So let's take any questions. Yeah. Let's take one for Arav first. Arav?
I have one question. It says, if you worship the demigods, you'll in your next life take birth with them, and if you worship Krishna, then you'll take birth with Krishna. But what if you worship both the demigods and Krishna?
You worship both the demigods and Krishna at the same time.
Yeah. So of course, we pay respects to demigods as well, but we mustn't worship them as they are the only, only source or only original personality, because that's not who they are. Yeah. That's Krishna. So our utmost worthy of worship should be Krishna, and then it should be demigods. But this does not mean, we completely neglect them. They are still very extremely worthy of our respects. For example, a lot of demigods are devotees themselves, Ganesh and Shivji and Hanuman, all of these amazing personalities are devotees themselves. But this doesn't mean that we worship them as the supreme or the original. That is only for Krishna.
And if we're worshipping both, it means that we haven't got full faith in Krishna. So we won't go to Krishna. We won't go to a bad place, but we won't go to the Supreme Lord. If you're doing worship of both the demigods and Krishna on an equal basis, then you still remain in this material.
Yeah, and also I feel like people get worship and respect confused a lot. Worship is extremely different to just praying or paying obeisances. Worship is completely devoting yourself to someone. But if you're just paying obeisances, you're just paying respect. Like you of course you can pay respect to pay obeisances or pray to the demigods. That's no issue. You can just say, dear Shivji or hey Shivji, please provide me with you remove all the obstacles. That's what we do on Ganesha Chaturthi as well. All of these different festivals, we say to the demigods, please remove any barriers between me and the Supreme Lord. So in that sense, those are paying obeisances, those are praying. But when you worship, you are completely devoted to that person. So we must worship Krishna, but we can pray and pay obeisances to the demigods. That's not an issue.
Okay. Ishwari.
How can science take the place where God once was in some people's heart? If science doesn't have a reason for everything, but the Lord does, how can they replace that? What is their mentality?
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay. How can science take the place where God was, where God once was in some people's hearts? If science doesn't have a reason for everything, but the Lord does, how can they replace that? What is their mentality?
So science is a subject that requires a lot of proof. Now, if you've ever gone to school and you've studied science, there's an experiment behind everything. And that's because you're trying to prove your theory, whatever you've come up with. But the funny thing is, scientists, they don't always, even their theories are really flawed. Their mindset is that, okay, well, I need to have proof for this, only then everyone's going to accept me. But what they don't realize is that religion is the one thing that can be accepted without proof. But even then, for our religion, there is proof. So their mindset is really narrow. They're unable to accept things that are outside what they believe. They're unable to accept things that may be straying from any scientific theories. So they can't accept, supernatural behavior. But that just shows how closed-minded they are. So yeah, I guess being a scientist is kind of about you don't accept anything without proof.
They say, I can't see God, so he doesn't exist. But we could also argue we can't see air, but we know it's there because of the symptoms of air.
Yeah.
In the same way,
Actually,
this order in the universe, the wonderful creation, is a symptom that there is a hand behind it, which is superior, beyond human control. So,
yeah, they're unable to think philosophically, and also, if you think about it, many scientists claim that the world was created from a Big Bang, but how can dust and gases create a solid Earth with so much life on it? It's just impossible. It's just not possible. And also, actually, how they need proof for everything. They need to see everything. There was actually an exchange between Srila Prabhupada and someone else, and really sorry for the background noise, but there was an exchange between Srila Prabhupada and another individual, and that individual said, "Can you show me God?" And Prabhupada said, "Well, can you show me your intelligence?" Now, both of them, they are invisible, but it doesn't mean they're not there. So in that sense, in that way, if someone asks, "Can you show me God?" Well, can you show me your intelligence? You can't.
Yeah, thank you. If you envy God when you read the Gita, you won't be able to, is it true, you won't be able to understand the essence, or will it change your mindset and stop you from envying God?
it can. Gita can do anything. But if one has an envious attitude, it's very hard. You can read the book for 100 times, but you still won't get the essence. There will be some impact because the Gita is very purifying, but it'll just take a long time. Just like when you're chanting, if you're chanting without the regard for the holy name, yeah, you're getting some benefit, but it's going to take a long, long time before you get the ultimate benefit. But eventually you start chanting. In the same way, eventually you probably contemplate it. read the Gita in a non-envious way.
Thank you. Does anyone in the three worlds know everything about the Lord?
I have no clue.
Yeah. Even Krishna himself doesn't know the full extent of his qualities. So nobody else can know.
That is true. Sometimes Krishna is actually, he's very distraught about how Radharani knows more about him than he does about himself. So that's why, Radharani is known as Param Bhakti. She's the epitome of devotion. Yeah. So that's fine, Sunil Prabhuji. So she's known as, the Param Bhakti because she knows so much more about Krishna than he knows about himself.
There's one pastime actually in Dwarka where Krishna sees an image of himself in the mirror, and he's thinking to himself, who is this gorgeous personality? So his qualities have increased and he's not even recognizing himself. So.
Thank you. How is it possible to take birth among ghosts and spirits if you worship them?
You go to the planets of the ghosts and spirits, basically. There are places where ghosts and spirits reside within this universe. So if one worships the ghosts and spirits, you end up in the place of where the ghosts and spirits are.
Thank you. Is Rukmini a incarnation of Lakshmi Ma?
Radharani, she's an incarnation of Radharani. And Lakshmi is a little bit further down the order. So first there's Radha. From Radha expands Chandravali. And from Radha again expands the 8 Astasakhi gopis. And also Rukmini. And then later on, because the character of Rukmini is actually from Chandravali comes Rukmini. She's very much like Chandravali.
I see. Thank you. Last question. Why, when they were saying, I think the Lord said, even if they are born of lower births, why was a woman in that category?
Yes, good question. You want to take that one, Pari?
Sorry, Prabhu, can you please repeat that?
Why are women in the lower category?
Okay, so from what I know, and I know it sounds bad, I know it does, but also you have to understand that actually a man's body and a woman's body are created, they're different. Now, the reason why a woman's birth may be considered lower than a man's isn't because, she's less worthy of becoming a devotee or he's, superior. It's the fact that there's a biological difference. Now, a woman or a female has certain hormones that really regulate her emotions. And, she can get either too sentimental or too emotional, and she may do something that, that could place a barrier in her bhakti. So, it does sound bad, and I understand where you're coming from. I had that question as well, but
in Kali Yuga, I would say things are a little different. Because if you look at who attends the satsangs, the vast majority are Matajis, females. So, and whoever attends satsang is a highly elevated person. And the men generally, they're outside having a little smoke or something, They don't generally participate so enthusiastically in satsangs. So in one sense,
that's very true. And even from my personal experience, actually, so many families that have become devotees, it's always the Matajis that get involved.
Exactly. Good point.
Yeah, but you know, even in my house, the people who started were me and my mom. So
Right.
you know, my dad and my brother are en route, but they're still not there yet. You know, we're trying, but you know, it happens. And the thing is, in Kali Yuga, everyone is there's no one superior than another. Honestly, if it's, even if there was, it would just be devotees over everyone else. There's no one more superior than another, because we're all very deficient in our intelligence and our memory and our other qualities that are, you know, we're supposed to have.
Also, we're not the body. Sorry, we're not the body.
You can continue.
So, even if one is born in a female body this life, in the next life, one will be a male body. So if one is thinking, I'm a male body, I'm better than you, well, you know what? You're not going to be better than me in your next life, because you're going to be, you know, born in an inferior condition because of your mentality. So.
And in fact, being a woman is actually a blessing. That way, you're quickly attracted to Krishna. Krishna and his pastimes become extremely attractive to you.
Yeah, it's a natural thing. Yeah,
personal experience as well. So don't worry, Ishwari, Kishori, you guys are perfectly fine, just the way you are.
Thank you. And that was the last of our questions.
Well done. So, shall we go on to the quiz? Thank you, Kishori, and thank you, Pariya, for putting that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, great.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to join again because
no, that's okay. No problem.
Extremely noisy children here, and I don't want to.
No problem. Thank you so much, Pari. And we'll talk to you. Yeah, so Ishwari, Kishori, they put the quiz on the.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope you get good in the quiz. Bye, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Pari.
Hare Krishna.
The quiz code is on the chat, so please join. And Ishwari, Kishori, you can share your screens. If there's any questions while we're waiting, please do ask. And Lokeshwar, I just wanted to tell you, we're not going to have the normal satsang after this. There's something else happening in the mandir today. So this Sunday, we're not having the session later on. Huh? So please.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. But next Sunday we will, okay? So please join us next Sunday.
I'm not sure what is going on with quizzes, but it keeps telling me I'm losing connection. So if the quiz is halfway, that's why.
Yeah.
Just warning everyone. So it's not like it's their devices. The internet is a little bit unstable today.
No problem. Thank you for, as always, organizing it. Is everybody joining in?
On my screen, it says no one has joined, but I don't know.
Yours there's 0, but on my phone it says there's 7 already.
Oh, is it? That's a bit weird. Maybe your internet is a little tricky.
Probably refresh and it should work.
Yeah, try refreshing.
Yep, the refresh worked. I can see everyone now.
Thank you, Arav. Okay, go for it.
Okay, I'm going to start now.
Nice.
What is the name of this chapter? Attaining the Supreme, contents of the Gita summarized, knowledge of the Absolute, transcendental knowledge. And the correct answer is attaining the Supreme. True or false? One of the questions Arjun asks in this chapter is, how can we know Lord Krishna at the time of death?
Mine says cannot connect to quizzes on my phone.
I'm not sure what you can do. I don't think we can do anything about that.
I think I just got a question and answer, so it should be fine now.
Spiritual inquiries are very important and benefit three people: the inquirer, the audience, and one who answers, one who dances on the other end of the world, one who has perfected the art of breakdancing, one who chants daily. The correct answer is one who answers. True or false? When one passes in light, he doesn't come back. But when one passes in darkness, he returns. And the correct answer is true. For one who is born, blank is certain. This is a fill in the blank question. And the correct answer is death. True or false? When one becomes frustrated by the pursuits of this world, we can realize the only place we will get happiness is in this world. And the correct answer is false. Where do you go if you do Bhakti Yoga? Earth or heavenly planets, lower planets or species, Chipland, Goloko, Vrindavan or Vaikunt? And the correct answer is the last option. What are the four unavoidable predicaments? Greediness, lustiness, jealousy and disgust, happiness, sadness, grumpiness and anger, birth, disease, old age and death, all of the above. And the correct answer is birth, disease, old age, and death. True or false? Once you get to the Lord's abode, you never come back to the material planet. And the correct answer is true. Which yoga is the most efficient and quick to get to the Lord? Karma, Bhakti, Jnana, or Dhyana? The correct answer is Bhakti. What are some of the qualities of animal life? Eating, laughing, dancing, mating, or sleeping. This is a multi-select. And the correct answers are eating, mating, and sleeping. In third, we have Jarul. In second, we have Arab. And first, we have Lokeshwar.
Wow, well done again, Lokeshwar. Fantastic. Brilliant. And very nice quiz. Thank you so much for
Thank you, Prabhuji.
putting that together and asking the questions. And very, very good effort. Thank you, everybody. We shall catch up with everybody next Sunday with the 10th chapter. Very interesting chapter. Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you.